Have you seen Jack?
No.
Exactly.
Sometimes the lines are written on the set or the story, the characters evolve on the set.
One of the finest actors in India.
Okay.
I got onto the set and I found this guy was taking the scene somewhere else. So I also went. Till finally the director was panicked. He's like, where's this going? I'm like, what? He's taking it there? So I also went. No, but you know, I said, you tell him. Don't tell me.
Rugby, how it happened, when did it come into your life?
I was introduced to rugby at 14, 15. My biggest years in cinema, 1998 to 2015.
You were also playing.
I was playing for India. I retired in 2009. One of our team owners for the Rugby Premier League said, "Isme to Mardhar score. Mardhar score."
Yeah.
I said, yes. There are 760 districts in this country, approximately. Rugby is played in 322. 40% of India's districts play rugby. Nobody knows.
This episode is powered by easemytrip.com. Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to another edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. My guest today is Rahul Bose, actor and president of Rugby India. Rahul Bose has acted in English, Hindi, Bengali, Tamil and Malayalam films and with some of the most talented actors and directors. Thank you for coming on the show, Rahul.
Not at all.
Great to have you here. While researching, and seeing what all you've done, because you've been around for so long in the film industry, I didn't realize it. So I was just wondering, how many films have I seen? Which films have I seen of Rahul? And I realized I've seen quite a few of them.
Have you?
So yeah.
My condolences.
You're very... That's another thing about you. I've found that all the interviews, very down-to-earth kind of a person. So it's been a pleasure to, read up on you and say that, oh, okay, such a large body of work.
But you normally interview a lot of high-profile people, and I don't fit into that profile. So I was also very intrigued when somebody said...
No, I've interviewed several people
who are not
acted with you. Konkona was on the show.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So lots of people that I've interviewed.
Then I've only seen clips of your high-profile interviews.
So looking forward to this conversation. And the first, if you Google your name, you must have done that, but if you Google your name, the first couple of things that comes in, Rahul carries his own chair.
Yeah.
So,
that's a great story. We should talk about that.
Yes, please tell me about this.
Have you started rolling? Is
yes,
it rolling?
Yes,
oh,
yes,
good,
it's
good,
rolling.
good.
Yes. So tell me about this incident. But it comes from a place of
pain.
Yeah. So even though I'm laughing about it...
No, I laugh. I laugh with you. I laugh with you because there is a certain... Today, it's almost... it's not funny, but today it's got that... the sense of how weird this is, and yet it comes from, oh, I see, that's where it came from. Sometimes when you see people doing things, you're thinking, why is this person behaving like this?
Yeah.
For example, supposing somebody walked around all the time doing this, like, why is this person doing this? And you come to know that there was an earthquake when the guy was a kid. Who knows? I'm just talking. I'm giving you a facetious example. But this was on my first film. I was playing the lead. And no, I won't mention the film and I won't mention anybody else. That's not the point of this story. And I never got a chair to sit on. The producer's mother, the producer's father, other people would come in and they would all get chairs. And it was my first movie and I had to keep asking for a chair. And it was so awkward that finally I stopped. So I used to sit on parapets. I used to sit on stones. अगर हम बाहर पे अगर फर्ज करो कि आउटडोर शूट हो रहा है तो मैं वहाँ पे जाके बैठता था इत्मीनान से pretending to be very sporting. Like, don't worry about it, I'm fine. And अगर हम कहीं इंडोर्स तो अगर इंडोर्स में हम करते थे काम तो वहाँ पे मिलता था सेट पे ही एक चेयर मिल जाता था. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I never forgot it. It hurt me so hard. It hit me so hard, hurt me so badly. उसके बाद फौरन हम वापस आए बम्बई करीबन 3-4 दिन बाद. वहाँ पे एक रेस्टोरेंट हुआ करता था. आई डोंट नो वेदर यू आर फेमिलियर विद बॉम्बे. मोशेज जो कफ परेड में हुआ करता था. पता नहीं अभी है कि नहीं, या शायद किसी और नाम पे एक रेस्टोरेंट है वहाँ पे. वहाँ पे उनके पास उनके रेस्टोरेंट के जो कुर्सियाँ थी बहुत सुंदर थे. जैसे वो डायरेक्टर का चेयर होता है ना जो कोलैप्सिबल वाला कैनवस वाला, एक्सेप्ट क्वालिटी बढ़िया था वहाँ पे. तो आई सेड आपने इन कुर्सियों को आपने कहाँ से ख़रीदा? तूने कहा कि फला फला जगह से हमने ख़रीदा. तो I straight away went there and I asked for one of those chairs. In those days it cost 10,000 rupees. मैं बात कर रहा हूँ करीबन 32 साल पहले की बात.
King's ransom those days.
Yeah. And I said I want this chair. And Smita, till today, wherever I go, the chair goes with me. And it's been in 7 films. Directors have used it. And Aparna Sen always says, she calls me Brando. And that's another story. Not about my cinematic, my prowess as an actor. She would always sit on it to tease me, which is fine. But that's, I think, the scars that you bear, if you can do something positive, something non-confrontational, something peaceable, and yet something forward, it takes your life forward, that's the best solution. As opposed to तू मैं मुझे ये चाहिए क्या है.
Yeah.
हो जाएगा. आज नहीं तो कल ये हो जाएगा. And till today, I always say, don't sweat the small stuff. Wait. It'll come.
But you also take it to your sets, which means it also gives a signal for... You see, many times a producer or a director wouldn't even realize it.
Correct.
Right? The spot boys or the...
कि इसके पीछे वजह क्या है?
हाँ. So when you bring that, they realize that, oh, okay, maybe we're also doing the same thing. And he looks around and notices that there are all these actors, you know, who are the side...
No. They just feel कि ये अदा है. इस actor का एक अदा है कि वो एक अपना एक chair, because it's much nicer than all the other plastic chairs, right?
Yeah.
अपना chair लेके आता है, क्या राजा आदमी है. ये भी लोग सोच सकते हैं. तो ठीक है. But it comes from this, and this story has, it's not gone viral, but a lot of people have caught this story because it's caught the imagination, not just because of the film industry. Anywhere in life, if you're treated badly, with disrespect, what should you do? What should you do? And how should you heal? Look, it's not that big a deal, but since we're talking about it, of course you need to heal.
But it happens in the film industry, right? Like all the character artists, and I don't know if that's the term to use, but the supporting staff, you know, the makeup artists, all these people, they just kind of hanging around standing for hours on end. And in some sets, I believe food and things are organized. And in other sets, they just have to manage with the income. I'd interviewed Aruna Irani once, and she told me about what it was like in her time, where they would give travel allowance and that's it. And then you managed it on your own. And it was so hard on that income. And then they would be standing, the parents who've accompanied the child artist, they're just standing there because they're not part of the staff, right? They're not paid by the budget. So they have to just hang around, make space for themselves, walk around, or just stand for hours on end, 10 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours sometimes, waiting for somebody to offer them food, drink, sitting.
And how does it happen in any other industry, Smita?
Yeah.
Any other industry? Politics? Journalism? Sport? Is it flat? Is everybody sitting? Is everybody getting the same attention? Come on.
Okay. So
hierarchies exist everywhere in societies, everywhere in the world. So every time someone points a finger at the industry, I always say just look outside. Who's running one of the biggest newspaper or media empires today? The child of a newspaper empire owner. What are we even discussing? If it is an anomaly, if it is an outlier, if it is a freakish case, it should be brought to attention. But this is the way societies work. I'm not defending this at all. I'm just saying just because this is in the public eye, people get to see it more often. But you just look anywhere else, I don't see anybody sitting at the same table as the boss. I don't see anybody getting the same food and drink and attention as the boss. And I don't think anyone complains about it. I mean, of course, you and I have heard for years. I'm sure in this studio there must be interns who are doing a lot of grunt work, all the way into any industry where you look at. That's where you start, and that's where you pay your dues, and that's how it's done. Is it right? Is it wrong? That's a different conversation. So, if hierarchies exist extraordinarily in any industry, we can talk about that. But if they
Sure.
don't, and if that's
Okay.
the way the world works, then change the world. Don't just focus on one industry.
One criticism which also comes up, and it's come up lately also, is because the presumption, or should I say the view that Bombay film industry is very influenced with left-wing ideology. Is that correct? Is that a correct...
In my 32 years, nobody's ever talked to me about left-wing ideology. Never. Or for that matter, any ideology. I can tell you this. Everybody is there. You can just sort things out. It's not even an issue. I've never been asked what my ideology is. Never.
Okay.
For casting, for discussions, never. Either you like it, you want to do my film, you do my film, or you don't do my film. It is always art-centric. There is no, in 30, and I'm telling you this seriously, in 32 years, I don't know what people are thinking. In 32 years, and I've worked with everybody. I've worked with the seniors like Paresh and Nasir and Shabana and all of them. I've worked with, 22-year-old kids. Never has it appeared. It's always about how do we find the truth in the scene. I'm not joking. And Paresh Rahul, Anupam Kher. I've done 3 films with Anupam. Nasir, Om Saab. I did a film with Om and it didn't get released, but he was such a fine actor. Or for that matter, it's always, or even with the kids, it's always about how can we make the scene better.
Okay.
Always. Even with the director. Never have I discussed political ideology in 32 years. Never.
You worked with fabulous women directors. Aparna Sen, you worked with Deepa Mehta, I think.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Deepa Mehta.
Anvita Dutt, who made Bulbul. She was also very fine experience working with her. I think 7 or 8 female directors in my career.
Is it different working with a women director and working with a male director?
Not at all.
On the sets, what is the atmosphere like? It's the same? People just listen and do what a director tells you with regardless?
There is no sense of gender on a film set. And I'm not, whether you're a makeup person or there's no sense of gender. One day when I was making my first film, I looked around and said, where are the men? Because there were only women.
Okay.
There were only women on the set. And I had hired all of them.
Oh.
I was like, where are the men? And there was one guy who was my chief assistant, who we had to let go in the first week because he was incompetent. Not for his gender, poor guy. But it's gender blind. It truly is.
Okay. You acted in Dil Dhadakne Do. That was like an ensemble with huge names out there. You've acted with Kareena
In Chameli. And she, if you look at the film,
Yeah.
she has more of the footage.
Yeah.
But the film is not called Rahul. It's called Chameli.
Yeah.
Or
but
Aman, the character I was playing.
in Dil Dhadakne Do also. I mean, it was like, when you're playing that role, it's like, will she really divorce him? He's actually not that bad. Maybe she can change him. You know what I mean?
He was bad enough.
He was obnoxious,
And
yes.
I kept telling Zoya, I said, who are you making me play? I've spent 22 years
Being the nice guy.
on gender equality. As I've been
Yeah, that's what. Nice guy.
In life, in real life. I said, I've spent 22 years doing this, and now you're making me say this NGO Rahul has fainted. Whereas the actor is,
Is that a challenge too?
No.
To play something which is totally against your grain?
That's a different question. It's not a challenge in terms of who I am versus who I'm playing. Because it's the same person. Who I am is devoted to excellence as a human being and not hurting people. Which is exactly the same thing I do when I'm playing. I'm devoted to excellence and creating a positive atmosphere. So Rahul doesn't change. What I'm doing here as Rugby India president or there as a murderer and rapist are expressions of the same human being saying that. But having said that, a really, really interesting idea around this is, what is your duty? As a rugby player who steps onto the pitch for India, what is your duty? To leave your body on the field. That's what our coach used to say.
Leave your body means?
Aapka jo shav hai, you should leave your body on the field so you have no regrets when you come off the field.
Okay.
Okay, are you understanding?
No, not really.
It's such a physical game that you should have nothing left to give at the end of the game.
Okay.
You should be flat on your back at the end of the game. Both physically and metaphorically. So, nikal ke dukh, regret, rakho mat. So, whatever you do in life, do it, including this interview, do it 110%. So when you walk out of this door, you never say, I should have, I would have, I could have.
Mm.
And it's the same when I'm acting. If I have to play, and I did in Irevan, this Tamil film, where I rape and murder 6 women. Obviously, the overall message of the film is anti-violence and all of that. But to show the message, you have to show what the bad is. Very much like Dil Dhadakne Do. What is my duty there? My duty there is to be utterly terrifying.
Mm.
That's my duty to the art, to the story, to the film, to the character. That's my duty. And I will make sure I leave my body on the field. So I have never seen any kind of dissonance, because the human being that is there is devoted to the same values in whatever he or she does, in my case.
When you are acting in Tamil, Malayalam, these are not languages that you speak. Is it harder to do as compared to English or Bengali, which you can, and Hindi, which you can speak?
Of course.
It is harder.
Of course.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the process.
So there are 2 steps to it. One is on set and one is dubbing. ठीक है? Now I will never ever do a film in which my voice is not used.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't even watch it. Not because my voice is so amazing, but because it's so upsetting.
Okay.
Okay, it's like cheating for me. So I ratto the lines, both on the set and during dubbing.
Okay.
And so on the set, you have to get somebody to translate the lines, but translate with the same meter. Hi Smita, how are you? Smita ji, kaisi hain aap? That's fair. But aap kaisi hain Smita ji? No.
Yeah.
It's hi Smita, how are you?
Yeah.
Smita ji, kaisi hain aap? You cannot change things around. So I need somebody to take me through phrase by phrase where this is going. Then I try and find roots. Is there a Sanskrit root to this word? You know, bhay. Bhay is a word from Hindi. It's also, I found it in Tamil. So I try and find words that I can find. So I find that as a link. Then I get these translation phrases done, nuances done. So I know that lay kya hai. Isme sur kya hai aur lay kya hai isme. So then I get into it. I say, okay, say it please. I used to ask Mr. Hassan, say it please, sir, say again, say again, say again. So he would say it again to me and I would say, okay, I got it.
He's a polyglot too.
Yeah. And the thing is, it might be that the right way of saying it is, hi Smita, how are you? But my character the character in the film at that time might have said,
Aur bolo.
hi Smita, how are you? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So then that's why I said, say it to me, say it to me, say it to me. And then I would say, okay, that's the feeling. Then of course there is your character. You know who your character is. So Vishwarupam, for example, you know when you speak, when human beings speak, we only speak on the exhale.
Yeah.
We only speak on the exhale. We take a breath and then we speak on the exhale. Then we take a breath. But Vishwarupam, I spoke on the inhale.
Because?
Because he was dying of cancer, which was eating him up inside. Radioactivity had caused cancer in his body. So I wanted that sense of a hollow, burnt out feeling of a human being from the inside. Hollow, burnt out feeling of a human being on the inside. So I said, can I try speaking on the inhale? Have you ever tried it?
No, I don't think so.
Try. Just say Smita on the inhale.
Cannot.
You can.
Smith. It's coming out in the...
Yeah.
Because I think for us, our training is always... Pet se awaaz
No training.
nikalo.
No training. This is to do with the human
Natural.
body.
Okay.
Biology. Nobody can speak on the inhale. Unless you start to talk like this and start taking things into the inhale. My name is Rahul. So ye ho gaya set pe. And there's, if it's a long piece of dialogue, there's an assistant director who's sitting like a potted plant and shouting the lines out to me. And I'm apologizing to the other actors saying, sorry guys, it's too long a piece. I can't learn it. Right?
Yeah.
Then you come to dubbing. Now dubbing is you're naked. You can't run anywhere. If you want to do it, then you have to do it correctly. So I still remember during Vishwarupa, Mr. Hassan sat next to me for 6 days.
Wow.
In the dubbing room. 6 days he sat and took me through every single line. And I did it like I did my commerce exam. I did it and I forgot it as soon as I left the studio.
It was that exhausting.
It was that
Draining.
difficult to, like, I didn't, when I did my BCom finals, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just spitting out stuff that I had absolutely no knowledge about.
Okay.
And I got a first class, by the way, which is tells you so much about the academic system in those days. I don't know if it's changed or not. So just like that, I would do it seemingly very well, and then I would just leave the studio and forget all about it.
How many years between your first movie, which was
English
August?
Ji.
So between English August and now acting with Kamala Hassan, how many years passed by?
My debut was in
94.
We shot in 93, we released in 94, correct? And Vishwarupam was 2000 and I want to say 15, 16, 17, somewhere there.
And still it's a learning experience with every film.
It's traumatic because you suddenly realize how much more you have to learn.
So do you really think back and say, oh my God, should I take this film in Malayalam? Should I take this film in Tamil? It's just too much of hard work.
It has to be a good film.
It
has to be a good film.
Okay.
And if it's a good film, then no actor can say no.
But you've acted more in Hindi films, right?
Out of the 55 films, more than 30 have been in Hindi.
I just couldn't believe 55 films. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Then I realized that you've been around for a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
in the film industry.
I'm considerably older than you, so yeah.
No, actually not. But anyway.
Actually, yes, it can't be. You must be at least 10 years younger than me.
I'm not going to tell you. You think I'm going to tell you? I'm not. Age is not something. I'm not going to ask you how much money you make, and
You can ask me how much money I make. I can tell you nothing.
So, but yeah, it's a huge, long span, and it's a great body of work. You've done so much. How do you pick the films that you want to do? Kuch hatke chahiye, or give me scope for acting, or I like the ensemble, or I like the director.
I'm sure you've asked many actors this question.
I do.
Yeah.
But everybody has a different answer.
I'm surprised because I thought we would all have the same answer. One is appetite. If you have Chinese food for 3 days, on the 4th day you want to have ghar ka khana. So you do comedies for 3 years, you like 3 films. 4th one, let's do something serious. It's simple appetite. Change the taste in your mouth. That's one. 2 is the story. For me, it's not about how big my role is or how good my role is. Because we've seen people acting very well in terrible films and no one talks about the film. A film has to be good, Smita. If the film is fantastic, then automatically you're on a good wicket. So in Dil Dhadakne Do, and I thought it's a very lovely film. Even though my role is small, it's memorable.
Yeah.
Because the person who's written the entire film, has written it so well, everybody's vivid. You know, that uncle, that auntie, me, you remember.
Yes.
So I think it's very, very important to me to see if I love the film. If I would be interested to read this or watch it or whatever. Uske baad, what I do definitely, and it'll happen less and less as I grow older, is I would like to be one of the engines of this film. What I mean by that is, if you took my kirdar out of the film, would the story remain the same in Dil Dhadakne Do? If there was no Manav? No. Because the crux of Priyanka's dilemma is her marital problem, which is a reflection of the misogyny and orthodoxy of the society she's in. So, without Manav, there is no problem. Without that problem, there is no film. The film is about empowerment of this woman and how her brother goes in this direction and she goes in this direction, but they meet in the same place. So, in that respect, I always say that if you took my character, if you wouldn't miss it, then why am I doing it? And what's the point?
You were asking me about whether all actors say the same thing. They don't. Just to bring back, there are some actors who will say, I have to act in a Suraj Barjatya. I have to act in that. Even if it's a small role, I have to act in that.
Okay.
Or a B.R. Chopra. Some might say, even if it's anything to do with an Amitabh Bachchan film, I have to act.
I see. Okay,
because
I
I grew up thinking about that. The other person might say that, if I move out of this mold, I won't be accepted because everybody sees me as this good guy. I can't do a bad guy film. So there are many actors who get stuck with these kind of imagery which is in their mind where they have to fit into this or they have to do this because they grew up thinking they have to do it.
Fair. I mean, absolutely valid, and I hadn't thought of that. I thought, you know how it is. What else could it be? It has to be the quality of the film you're in and the role that you're doing. an appetite, as I said. But for me, these are the things that matter. I've worked with, in 55 films, I've worked with, I think, 14 first-time directors. तुक्का तो लेना पड़ता है आपको कि ये इससे होगा कि नहीं, इससे होगी कि नहीं, कि ये कर पाएगी कि नहीं, कि ये कर पाएगा कि नहीं. And I've taken those chances, and I think most times it's been not bad at all.
And which are the directors who you can just blink your eye? I don't even need to think about it. If there's a film from this director, I'm taking it because I know she or he will do justice.
Not a single one.
Really?
Come on. Think of the great directors in the world, and I'll tell you the worst films they've made, you won't even have seen them. Francis Ford Coppola made Godfather. He made a film called Jack. Have you seen Jack?
No.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. No, never.
Wow.
Never. I mean, I don't want to name Indian directors because I have no wish to be controversial.
So if there's a storyline also which you have to know before.
Of course. No, not storyline. The entire script in my hand to read every single word.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
But I believe it's only nowadays that you get a bound story.
No, this has been around since I was 32 years.
Okay. Because some people say that the story, like some of the big movies like Gangs of Wasipur and all, seeing this sometimes the lines are written on the set, or the story, the characters evolve on the set. Somebody comes and says it, because that was also a big ensemble movie, and then they would say ki, isko aise kar do, and then they would change it. So Tigmanshu was on the podcast, and he said that.
I honestly don't know what happened on Gangs of Wasipur or with Tigmanshu or Anurag. I have no clue. So I'm going to put that out. So you can't be. This is not my answer to that. But the answer otherwise, would Rahul Bose do a film which you're improvising and making on the fly? I'd rather cut my arm off.
Wow. But you're a theatre person, right? In theatre, improv happens,
no? Never. Improv happens before the performance.
Okay. Not when you're on stage.
Improv happens before you get onto stage. You spend a month. I can improv right now till the cows come home. But not on the set. Not when you're shooting. Not when you've called action. Then we've decided what to do together. Then there is a truth we're discovering together. We're not improving there. It's too expensive in any case in cinema.
And does it put you off if you find an actor who's...
Of course. And I had it happen with one of the finest actors in India.
Okay.
I got onto the set and I found this guy was taking the scene somewhere else. So I also went. Till finally the director was panicking. He's like, where is this going? I'm like, what? He's taking it there? So I also went. No, but so I said, you tell him. Don't tell me.
Okay. Did that scene get used? No.
No.
It didn't. Wow.
No.
It was axed, huh?
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I never start a fight in my life, but I'll end it.
Okay. That's interesting. When you, let me get on to rugby, which you mentioned a couple of minutes ago. I want to know how it happened. When did it come into your life? And how important is it in your life currently?
You're going to hear my whole dukh bari kahani.
I don't know much about it. We made it clear to the audience beforehand that I know nothing about the sport.
You don't have to know anything about the sport. The questions you've asked me are just life questions. And I think that when you hear my answers, you'll realize it has nothing to do with the sport. It's to do with life, love, truth, fear, all of those things. So, it's a very physical game. That's all you need to know. Mardhar. Yeah. As one of our team owners for the Rugby Premier League said, Isme to Mardhar score. Mardhar score.
Yeah.
I said, yes. So, at the age of 14, I was introduced to this game. I used to play cricket very seriously, like all boys. But at the school, kind of, inter-school level kind of thing.
Bombay.
Ji. And I was a left-arm opening bowler. And as you can see, I'm vertically challenged. So let's just call it short. I'm 5'6" tall or short. And so I realized that there was no future for me in the sport if I'm going to be trying to become a fast bowler. Not that I was ever thinking of it as a profession, but even as chalo college tak le jayenge, university le jayenge, khelte hain, aisa nahi tha. I was introduced to rugby at 14, 15, when I could sense that this cricket thing is not really going to go very far. This sport gave three things to me, to a 15-year-old. Number one, you could get as dirty as you wanted. Legitimately. It's fantastic. Mom is not going to scream at me. I mean, it's a badge of honor. That's great. Second was, you could be as violent as you wanted on this field within the rules, but you could express your physical violence. Which 15-year-old doesn't want to do that as a boy?
If you were to ask me, meeting you, you don't look like the kind who would be wanting to be physically.
At 15, everybody is confused and, testosterone. This is great. Cricket, you have to wear a cap and you have to, walk around like this.
Gentleman's game.
Yeah, rugby, you have to go. And third is, and I've said this before in interviews, I broke my nose. The first time I've broken it 4 times. And the prettiest girls in school came to hospital. It was so wonderful. I was like, they don't look at me otherwise.
Oh.
So while I'm being a little bit lighthearted, but these were the 3 reasons that I said, I can play this game. When I was scouted from school, and I was playing on the grounds of the Bombay Gymkhana Club, and they scouted me, I was 17. They said, will you play? At that time, rugby wasn't a recognized sport as it is now. There was no federation. So I had to be contented with 12 clubs playing this sport in the country. That was the, into inverted commas, your nationals. Will you play for the club? I said, I'd love to. And I did. And in my very first season for the club, I scored the most amount of tries in American football, touchdowns, or whatever, goals. And emerging player of the tournament.
Okay.
And you very quickly realize it's a game. Today I keep saying it's taught me more than my parents. And it's true. It's a game that teaches you that if you try and play it alone, you'll end up in hospital. You can't play this game alone. It's so physical and it's so man for man, woman for woman. If you try and play it alone, you will either the hospital or the morgue. If you want to move forward in this game, you have to take people with you. What a lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Even outside, wo jo lakeer ke bahar bhi agar aap, that if you want to move forward in life, Smita, take people with you. Don't go alone. It's just not worth it. I mean, even sitting here, I'm sitting here because hundreds of people have put me here. There's somebody who made this shirt. I can't make shirts. There's somebody who made this glass. You know what? How utterly reductive to believe that you're this person who's marching alone in this world. It's impossible. That was the first thing I learned. The second thing this game taught me was fear. Sheer physical fear. And what to do with it. You fear. You fear, I don't know whether you have children, perhaps being a bad mother. I've seen my sister through my niece's teenage always wondering, have I just completely messed up being a parent?
Yeah.
Right? You fear. What do you do with that fear? Do you gather your strengths and say, no, I'm going to be a better mom next time. I'm going to learn. Let me speak to some other people. Let me read some books. Let me talk to my daughter. Or do you succumb and become a more dictatorial, more tyrannical mother? Which of these two do you do? So what do you do with your fear? That's what rugby taught me. There's fear. Now what are you going to do with it? Of course, in the game, it's about getting better technically, getting stronger mentally, looking to say that what will happen? I'll try and will lose, but I can't not try. And the last thing this game taught me was how to lose. Lose you have to. I was a very bad loser in my life. Hated losing. I mean, literally, I would break my racket. And we couldn't afford the second racket. I used to break the racket and borrow for the rest of the year.
Tennis.
Squash. Rugby taught me how to lose. Which is that it's going to happen. But how are you going to treat it? And there's only one way to treat it. With a laugh and a smile, if you've done your best on the field. So if you don't want to break your racket, you're going to have to say, I could not have done anything more. So everything in life, shed your blood. then you laugh at everything.
How did you use that in the film's world? I mean, for you both ran parallelly for some time, right?
All the time.
All the time.
My biggest years in cinema, 1998 to 2015.
You were also playing.
I was playing for India. I retired in 2009. So how did I do? Same. Every scene, discover the truth. And if it's not true, tell him or her, I need to do this again. Because it haunts you. Especially in cinema, because you see it. For years later, you see that scene that you were not good at, or that you were slightly false in, or that you were mannered in, or you were using a Rahul Bose mannerism to fall back on, you know? And you do it. I'm sure you've done hundreds of...
I never watch. I hate it.
Exactly. So that's the whole thing. So, better to do it right.
Yeah.
And I keep telling people, I said I'm a massive coward. I have no appetite for adversity or defeat. I just want to... That's why I work so hard.
Yeah.
So that at the end of it, I can accept... It's so much easier to accept being a mom who your daughter says, I hate you, when you know you've done your best. I mean, I'm trying to give the same parallel.
Channeling fear for positive action requires a lot of maturity, requires a lot of therav in your character. Did sports give you that, or did the film industry give you that?
Sport and theatre. The stillness that you need in your mind and your body. Theatre gives you, it's terrific. I would recommend it to any kid who wants to crack the IIT JEE also. I'm not joking. It's just such a great discipline, mental and physical, and sport. In fact, I'm slightly evangelical about this with parents who want their kids to do well in studies. I keep saying, dekho, as a sports person, I'm telling you, sport gives you the ability to concentrate harder for short periods of time. Sport builds your stamina to concentrate longer. And finally, sport tells you how to deal with pressure of an exam. If you want your kids to do well, let them for some time play a sport. You really do need that for your academics. Getting back to your point, sport and theatre. The stillness, the ability to absorb pressure. Right now, the Rugby Premier League is happening. It's happening on 15th of June. And everybody is looking at me as if, how are you dealing with this?
Yeah. How do you deal with it? Yeah.
Listen, everybody works hard. Everybody works hard. You work your guts out. I know that. I can see that. I work my guts out. Everybody works hard. Right? So that's one part of it. If you don't put in the hard work, your fear will not be stilled.
Okay.
You have to work and work and work till there's nothing left in your body. Look after yourself, but you have to work. The second part of it is you have to immediately understand, why am I doing this? I'm doing it to make sure that this league changes the ecosystem of Indian rugby. I'm out of it. If nobody remembers me, how will you feel? Answer the truth. Be truthful, Rahul. And you have to ask yourself that question. And whatever the truth is, in my case, I don't care. I have zero lobe for that. But there are times when you say, I'm doing this I want to be famous. I want the money. I want the power. These are the three drivers, essential drivers of human achievement, if you look at it in a superficial sense. So admit to yourself, I'm doing this for the fame. I'm doing this for the wealth. Or I'm doing this for the power. Recognize yourself, and then everything that you do after that will be you're like, I'm doing this for this. So you should be in harmony with why you're doing something. And admit that to yourself. Most of us don't.
Yeah. But sometimes even the wrong reasons might give positive results.
There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
No, there's no right or wrong.
Fame, wealth, aapne kaha.
No.
So
for me, I'm saying fame, wealth and power.
Which is, for some people, it might result.
And it was for me too. When I started, I didn't want to be rich. I didn't want to be powerful. I want to be famous. It's a great feeling to be famous. It's great to be loved. I still love it. So there's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is to pretend that's not it. You can't have a difference between who you really are and what you're actually doing. You know, your mouth and your hands, your eyes, your mouth and your hands should be in harmony.
In sync, yes.
Absolutely.
Get that. Is there money in rugby? Two questions which I have. One is there money in rugby? Not as much as in cricket, I well understand that. So that's not a comparison. But is there money in rugby? Should parents think of sending their children into this field and putting their all in? One. Two, role of discipline in sports. These 2 points.
Should I do the second one first?
Sure.
Role of discipline in sports, or the discipline you learn in sports, the role outside? Which one I ask?
Both.
Role of discipline in sports is taken for granted. I mean, sport is based on rules, right? So there are very clear rules, and in a confined space, in a confined period of time. So there's no question. If you want this move to move ahead, you have a referee. And discipline in sport, what it does to you outside, it's incalculable. It's incalculable the ways in which it has benefited me, saved me, taught me. It's 6:59. The sun is going down. You have to leave this location and you're never going to come back to it again. You need that sunset shot. It begins to rain. It's 7 o'clock. The sun is going down at 7:03. In terms of the light, even if the sun is set, sometimes you have light. Light, your guy said, your TOP has said, I can't do this in the next 2-3 minutes if you don't take the shot. We will not be able to use this shot. And it's raining. And it stops. And you have a minute left. You have two options. One is to be calm and spend the previous 2 minutes telling everybody, as soon as I say shoot, you all know what to do. You have to do it faster than you've ever done it before. Or at 7:02, you can start shouting to everybody to get things done. You have to decide which is the more fruitful way where you can possibly manage to can this shot. That's it. So discipline teaches you, true discipline is to be very still at the toughest moments. Even if it is just for 10 seconds, that stillness is all you need to say, okay, I'm ready. We can go for it. So the danger signals with me as a human being is when I become very still. Because then there's something that's going to happen which is not going to be nice. You know what I mean?
I get it.
It's that.
Yeah.
And the first part, there are 760 odd districts. This answer will take 2-3 minutes, so please be patient with me.
Absolutely.
There are 760 districts in this country, approximately. Rugby is played in 322. 40% of India's districts play rugby. Nobody knows.
Okay.
Each district is about 2 million people. 322 districts is quite easily 600 million people.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I didn't know it was that big. Why don't I know that it was big?
Because we're not on mass media. You've never seen us on television. You've never seen us in a big way online.
Yeah.
That's why you don't know. If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, does it fall?
Jungle Raja Moor kisne dekha? I got my idioms wrong.
Yeah. So, who plays it? Are you going to ask me? Okay, fine. Even if I don't know about it, who plays it? How come we don't know? So if you go to 322 districts of India and you just shout rugby, किसी ना किसी का हाथ ऊपर आ जाएगा. तो कौन खेल रहा है? The poorest of the poor. This is not a boast. This is a reality. This game is played by the poorest of the poor. We don't do a caste census or anything like that. But if you asked, I would reckon it's the absolute bottom layer of the pyramid. In the Rashtriya Janjatiya Khel that the Honorable Prime Minister had the first edition in 2023 in Bhubaneswar, 15 rugby teams were from 15 tribal rugby teams from 15 states we had. They were like, this is not a foreign sport. I said, no, it's as indigenous as Kabaddi now.
Okay.
So it's played by the poorest of the poor and no city plays it.
And it's called rugby everywhere?
Yeah. So, today, what is the option for a rugby player in this country who's from a village, like captain of the Indian women's rugby team? Of course, she's injured now. Hoopy is a tribal girl from Odisha. I'll show you photographs.
And Naveen Patnaik played a role or something, some weird memory that he hosted it or something in Orissa. What is it?
Odisha has, for the last 20 years, hosted a lot of world caliber events across many disciplines. Rugby is one of them. They had an under 18, Asians under 18 that they hosted. So in that respect, it's a different topic, but I think the understanding of soft power through sport has really been very well understood.
Which states play it most?
26 states.
Yeah.
Out of 37.
But it's popular across the country and...
Maharashtra.
Okay.
Odisha. Bihar. Haryana. Bengal. These are best performing, I'm telling you, the best performing states. But penetration, Kerala, Rajasthan. Come with me. I'll take you.
So is it the same in UK too? Is it that the...
Completely different.
Okay.
Everywhere else, rugby has started at the very poshest layers of society, upper layers,
so
and if it percolates,
completely wrong.
and if it absolutely, and if it percolates, it's percolated later. There are some countries where the sport has percolated to the grassroots of what I'm talking to you about. But in India, it is now a grassroots, rural hinterland, and even in urban areas. Some of our national players have come from, I don't want to use the word slums, but very poor areas outside Jaipur.
Okay. Is it because you don't need really expensive equipment like in golf or something like that?
Two reasons. And if you want, I can tell you the two reasons.
Sure.
They're very interesting. India gravitated, middle class, upper middle class, Smita Prakash, Delhi, these gravitated towards sports where India was becoming famous. Chess, Vishy Anand, Saina Sindhu, Sania, Leander Mahesh, even to the extent of nowadays Aditya Ashok in golf, Satwik Chirag, right? We don't know so much about the archers because you see them once every 4 years. I'm talking about every day. So middle class and upper middle class India gravitated correctly, rightfully to badminton, tennis, squash to a certain extent, definitely chess, etc., table tennis, etc. So there was that migration that happened. The few people who played rugby were like, why should we break our nose for free? Not everybody is me. Bhaad mein jaye, even your parents will say, yaar, kya kar rahe ho? Play something less violent. The second reason is that as soon as this shift began to happen, there was an NGO called Jungle Crows that was beginning to do work at the largest tribal school in the world, the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences in Bhubaneswar. 30,000 children, tribal children, schooled, fed, clothed, housed for free from grade 1 to grade 12.
Amazing.
Their breakfast table is a football field. They said, will you come for breakfast? I thought, they have 3 seatings of 10,000 children each.
Yeah.
So, Wankhede Stadium is 30,000 people. Imagine every day.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Jungle Crows went there to teach the joy of sport and what it can do in your education. He, the founder, was a rugby fan. So one day out of his bag he took out this misshapen ball and tossed it to the kids. And Abhay Deol has done a film about this called Jungle Cry. And the kids came back and said, we tried to make this ball round, it's not coming round. So he laughed. Long story short, in 6 months or a few months later, they won the World School Rugby Games.
Oh,
These tribal kids.
amazing.
South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, France, England. They won it. That's when, as a federation, and I was not part of the federation in terms of management, it was 2003, 2004, picked up and said, by design now, can we reach out to, not just tribals, but can we reach out to these, can we now start to seed? And that seeding has been, and we are carrying on that beautiful torch that was lit by others before me, before us as a board, and we're just carrying that torch on to this. So, what are the pathways for these kids? what could be the pathways? तुम किसी जिले में हो, क्या pathway होगा आपके पास? आप अपने डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स के लिए खेलोगे, उसके बाद अपने राज्य के लिए खेलोगे, नेशनल्स. उसके बाद अगर गोल्ड सिल्वर ब्रॉन्ज मिलता है तो महाराष्ट्र में शिव छत्रपति अवार्ड मिलता है. दिल्ली में क्या होता है आई डोंट नो. व्हाटएवर, ईच स्टेट हैज देयर अवार्ड्स. 1-2 लाख मिल जाएंगे, 3-4 लाख मिल जाएंगे. नेशनल गेम्स में आप आएंगे, टॉप 8 टीम्स विल प्ले नेशनल गेम्स. खेलो इंडिया यूथ गेम्स, इसमें भी आपको मुनाफा होगा अगर आपको स्वर्ण, रजत या कांस्य पदक मिलता है तो. उसके अलावा क्या मिलेगा? Government jobs. So there's a big push that we've been making. And we can't do it centrally, right? पुलिस में भर्ती होगे तो बिहार की पुलिस में या उड़ीसा के पोस्टल सर्विस में या महाराष्ट्र के लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स में, जहाँ पे भी. So to get the state governments to start creating a recognition कि rugby is one of the eligible sports for players to get jobs.
Okay.
Which we've done. Now it's 6-7 states are happening.
Super.
That's another way out. But finally, it's about money. It's about financial. Forget about a poor parent. Even you will say, beta, stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
No matter what you do, don't come back to me for money. It's not. Don't be financially self-sufficient. That's what they think. And for them, it's a question of life and death.
Absolutely.
So, as a federation, we began to pay our players who would make the national camp. हमारे 1500 players में से, the 35, I'm taking all ages across the entire country who play the nationals, or 1600 players, the 35 from each of these four 280, no, 350 into 40, so into 4, 140 players who make the national camps in under 18 boys and girls, under 20 boys and girls. So say about 220 players, we're paying them now, last 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
कि 5 weeks के national camp में पहले हफ्ते में इतना पैसा, दूसरे हफ्ते में इतना पैसा, तीसरे हफ्ते में इतना, चौथे में इतना, पांचवें में इतना. If you play for India, itna, and these are the bonuses. So now a boy or a girl or a man or a woman who plays rugby at the national level is going home with about 40 to 60,000 rupees per camp.
Okay.
So I've had people say, आपकी बदौलत मेरी नहीं, he talking about the board, घर का चूल्हा जलता है. So what happens, Smita, is when you're dealing with a sport that is played by the poorest of the poor, you're not just dealing with kabiliyat. You're dealing with an entire ecosystem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
May I speak for 2 minutes more?
Absolutely. And also, is it hard to get sponsors for rugby?
Yeah, I'll come to that. Our under 18 girls last year were playing the Asians. In the first day, Smita, they beat the best teams. UAE, Hong Kong. We have only 2 games the next day. We're going to win gold. We've only ever won silver at the Asian level. We've never won a gold. This is going to be historic. Next day we were playing far lesser countries, lost both the games. I'm watching, I'm like, structure is the same. Discipline is the same. Coaching is the same. What's going on? They were too tired. They didn't have it they didn't have a second day of rugby in them.
Why?
I went to the nutritionist and I said,
Diet, yeah, I was about to say that.
I said, in the 8 months that you don't see them in a year, what are they eating? Please do an audit. She came back after a month. Nahi, dal, chawal, dal, roti, meat, machi, chicken, anda. I said, ask them again. 2 months later, she came back. And the truth is, in a few households in this country, still, the breadwinner eats first.
Yeah.
When there's no money, then the boys eat, then the girls eat, then the mother eats last. I don't know what the percentage is, but that's
course.
In some other places, food is less.
Yeah.
Whichever way it goes, the truth that emerged after 2.5 months of gaining the confidence of the players was that they were eating dal and roti. Now, what's the solution? Not to send money home.
And not to say dal roti is bad, but it's insufficient before the match. The reason I'm putting this out, Rahul, is simply because I'd interviewed Sunil Chetri, and he said the same thing. He says, it's not as if dal roti is bad or vegetarianism is
no,
bad.
No.
Just to put that corrective. You know how...
things will get
Yeah, they'll just take out that
So let me be clear.
Yeah.
You cannot be playing any high performance sport at any level only with the nutrition that a dal or a roti will give you. Only that.
Yeah.
You need minerals, you need vitamins, so you can have vegetable. It's not about veg or non-veg.
Yeah.
It's about a balanced, nutritious diet.
Exactly. So this is something that I have to put this out because this happened with Sunil Chetri's podcast when he said this, that both Virat and he are vegetarians. So lots of people might think, oh, vegetarians can become a Sunil Chetri or can become a Virat. No, it's not
it's
all
got
vegetarians.
Nothing to do with vegetarians, non-vegetarian. It's to do with a nutritious, balanced diet.
Correct.
Where you get your protein, you get your carbohydrate, you get your fat, you get your minerals, etc., vitamins.
Correct. Okay, go ahead.
So,
sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to put that out.
What's the solution? You can't send money home.
Yeah.
God knows what it'll be used for.
Yeah.
You're not sure it'll be used for green leafy vegetables.
Yeah.
We're not going to send biscuits over my dead body.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What's the answer? There's only one answer. Never send them home. Because the food at camp, and I eat the food at camp. I eat before the camp starts, I eat the menu. The food at camp is a dream. Nutritionist, the food is a dream. Come with me anytime and eat. घर का खाना है, लेकिन पौष्टिक, nutritious, fantastic food. So now the answer is to not let them go back home. Right, Smita? That's the realistic answer. How much does it cost? Instead of having one camp a year plus a national, international tournament that takes maximum 2.5, 3 months, now you need to create 5 more of those opportunities. So they're with you for 12 months a year. And they're being paid.
Yeah.
So what was earlier costing you 1.10 crore, 1.20 crore, now if you want those people not to go home, will cost you 8 crores. And for those other 5 camps, there's no tournament to show you a medal.
Yeah. Get that.
Now how do I raise 8 crores more for something that you're not going to get bang for your buck for? This is the reality of this country, which the Rugby Premier League, which we started, and I'm sure you were going to ask me that question in terms of the Rugby Premier League is an IPL for rugby. The best rugby players on the planet are coming to India. They're going to be playing from the 15th to 29th of June. They're playing with the best Indian players. And because there's a gulf between, because unlike cricket, there will be a gulf, we've got bridge players in the middle. So South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Argentina, England, those players are coming. Then there's Germany, Hong Kong, Kenya as a bridge players, and then the Indian. Why are we doing this? Why are we having a Rugby Premier League? Because as soon as you have 6 teams, and we do, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Bhubaneswar, Delhi. As soon as you have this, you have 6 teams who want to win. Okay, the first season gets over by 29th. Jao, they'll tell their coach, check, you don't have to only have Chennai players if you have a Chennai franchise. You can get a player from Haryana. So there'll be 6 coaches roving around the country looking for the best Indian talent for the next year.
Okay.
Right? Aapne 30 ikatha kiya, aapne 30 ikatha kiya. Now there are 30 players who you have to bring back to Chennai to have a camp to say, now you are the new guys for us for the next year. You need a ground. You need a sports science facility. You need a camp place. You need coaches. You need physios. You need massage therapists. You need strength and conditioning specialists. So 6 ecosystems begin to be built. Even though team owners for the old selfish reasons want to win the next tournament, but whether you like it or not, you'll have 6 budding ecosystems of rugby, which of course as a federation we do 100 times that work, but it's 6 that we can do with.
Yeah, post-league you can use.
Now, and they're being paid in the league, there's an auction. So for a kid, the logo of ANI, if ANI had a team, right? Let's say ANI had the Delhi team. The logo of ANI from now onwards will not mean broadcasting. It'll mean hope. Anywhere in the country, this kid sees ANI who's playing rugby, say, one day I'll go there. The parents will see ANI, say, that's a pathway. That's a pathway. There are 6 more pathways being created, which are not part of the international calendar, for our kids to get into because the money will be more. You would never have interviewed me if I wasn't a film actor and I was only the Rugby India president. Correct. And rugby is not even won anything of great significance on the world stage. You would not have let me come through this door. But after the Rugby Premier League, there'll be 1 to 5 crore of Indians who will have, depending what number you want to look at, who will have seen the sport. And it's a thrilling sport. By June 30th, 1 to 5 crore people will have seen this sport. Then, to go to a government office, he won't say, rugby, ye kya hai rugby? Yeah. Jio Hotstar pe humne dekha tha. I don't know whether you want to...
No, that's fine.
That's the truth. हमने तो देखा बहुत थ्रिलिंग. हमारी जो औकात है वो बढ़ जाएगी.
Yeah, and even corporates, right? Not just railways or whatever. It's that too.
So as soon as you get mass media attention, you get sponsors who say, "Oh, you guys were on Jio Hotstar," and you guys start getting all the interest coming in from the corporate sector saying, "We can get bang for our buck because our ads and our logo will be seen." This is going to go to 14 countries, so it will be seen in India and outside India. Then the sport becomes marketable, Smita. Now, the broadcaster will come and say, people have loved it. For this 15 days, they loved it, but give us more. Where's the product? Then you start showing them.
More. Okay. Quite ambitious. How much time does it take for you? Like, how much time in your day does rugby take and how much time does films take? How do you balance the two? Because this requires therav, that requires a lot of energy. In your own words, how do you do it?
I think films, when I'm shooting, take about 14-15 hours. And rugby takes about 14-15 hours.
So, where do you sleep then?
So you don't sleep. Tell me something.
Have you put that on hold?
You have 2 kids.
Yeah.
When they were tiny, 2 years old and 4 years old, what's the difference in age?
Yeah, 5.
Okay, 2 and 5. Or 1 and 4. Did you ever say, आज मैं इस बच्चे का जो देखभाल है मैं करूँगी, इसको रहने दो? नहीं ना? You didn't
Are they
sleep.
just as important, the two of them?
One is my heart, one is my soul.
Which is which? Putting you on a spot. That's my job.
Films are my heart. Rugby is my soul.
Nice.
If you need to understand me, you need to see me play. If you need to love me or hate me, you can see me act.
Yeah, that's not true. That's not true. But you play cricket too, right, at times?
No, not anymore.
No? With film actors and in their...
No. I'm not that
Why? You don't want to
famous.
divide.
I'm not that famous.
You keep saying this, right? That
I'm not.
I don't bring people into theatres.
Of course I don't.
There have been interviews where you've said that.
It's the truth.
Is that you being humble?
No.
Is that, no?
You won't get false humility from me. It's the truth. They'll look and say, yeah, if he's doing something, it should be of quality. Yeah. But we're not going to run into the theatre. We'll see it on OTT. I mean, I don't know.
How do you see OTT? Are you comfortable in that platform as compared to films?
What's the difference?
I wanted to ask you that. Some people don't see a difference. Some people say that it's not the same.
It's not a difference.
Yeah?
Acting is about discovering the truth and making you believe that it's happening. Now, how is that different whether you're on a street or whether you're on a silver screen?
A lot of people think that there's a difference between theatre, films, OTT. Genuine, pure acting is theatre, whereas films is not really because there's too much going on.
I'll give you an example. Which is the opposite. Genuine feelings are in cinema. Theatre, there is no close-up. You can't be yourself. You have to be seen by 1,000 people.
Yeah, so it's exaggerated.
So I'll give you an example. I'm cutting cucumbers. Smita, your line, you come in and say, Rahul, your mom is dead. Okay, come.
Rahul, your mom's dead.
What? Right? Now, notice my hand. This is a cinema. I'm doing this on cinema. This is in a movie. Watch my hands. Give me the same line.
Rahul, your mother's dead.
Did you watch my hand?
No.
You didn't. Watch my hand now.
Rahul, your mother's dead.
You saw my hand? I want you to only watch my hand now.
Huh.
Say the line.
Rahul, your mother's dead.
Saw my hand?
Yeah.
Now watch me on stage. Say the same line. I'm on stage now. Watch the hand.
Rahul, your mom's dead.
Watch my hand.
Rahul, your mom's dead.
What?
Ah.
Now what did I do?
Yeah.
I created something called a gesture, which otherwise you wouldn't do. On stage you go tap, 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 tap. Now this is my close-up. Now you're noticing this action because my hand stopped. I'm drawing you to me because you're 25 meters away.
How is that less theatrical?
It is theatrical.
It is.
This is theatrical.
Okay.
But this is false. But it exists because you're doing something on stage to attract somebody in. Then you drop your hand and say, what did you say? Whereas in cinema, you don't need to do that. Now tell me which is real and which is false.
I don't know.
I'm giving you a contrarian example.
Huh.
Essentially, technically, you have to make adjustments. For example, to your voice.
Yeah.
I can't be speaking like this
Oh.
on stage. Right? What's called a stage whisper. I can't be speaking like this. If I have to whisper, it has to be whispered like this so that everybody can at least see my lips move.
And Hava.
Guess what I'm saying? Whereas in cinema, I don't do that. So the point here is that the soul of acting is the same. You have to believe that I'm going through what I'm going through. That's it. The dressing around acting, if it's on a street, you're battling with traffic, you're battling with 20 other people selling their goods.
Yeah.
If it's on stage and if it's on screen, and today if it's on your phone, what is the intensity of your focus and concentration of the audience? And how close are they to you? Those are the only adjustments you have to make. Otherwise, acting is the same.
And for the viewing experience, when you act, do actors and do producers and directors now think that because everybody has this cell phone and the distraction level is so much because of OTT, when you're sitting at home and watching it, the people walking in going, all that's happening, they have the ability to pause it and shift it. Is it impacting on the way films are being made and the content is changing because of that?
Formatted content in terms of length is changing. It's not changing, sorry. There are new lengths being added. It was a 2-hour film. Then it's a 45-minute episode.
Yeah.
Then it's a 29-minute episode. Then it's a 20-minute short film. Then it's a 10-minute, watch this in only 10. Now there's a 5-minuter. Now there's a 1-minuter. Like you and I, after 1 minute on Instagram, if it's not happening in 30 seconds, we move to we swipe. So are there new lengths being added? 100% to cater for short attention spans. But should you be trying to make a 2-hour film full of 45-seconder gimmicks to keep you hooked? Absolutely not.
But it's happening, no?
I actually, yes, it is happening, not to the extent that everyone talks about. The nervousness of filmmakers to keep people's attentions, that nervousness has always been there. Remember the item number?
Yeah.
Now, why was it there? It didn't serve the plot.
No.
Why was it there? That, यार audience निकल जाएगी इस वक्त.
Yeah.
कुछ तो पकड़ के रखना है.
Yeah.
Yeah? For all its misogynistic, sexist connotations, which I'm not going to get into, the nervousness, it betrayed a nervousness for the filmmaker that my story is not holding anymore. Let's put in some naach gana. So that nervousness, if you have it as a filmmaker, then you will be reacting nervily with all these changes. But essentially, you know and I know, if something grips us, we don't even remember the time.
True.
Yeah, 20 minutes ho gaya, 25 minutes. It was a 3-hour film. Didn't feel that way. And if something doesn't grip you, And it felt like it was 10 hours long.
Yeah.
Ghaseet ke kind of thing.
Oh.
So the answer very clearly is do something that is incredibly rich, entertaining. And that's the only way you... If it's in 1 minute also, Smita, you and I switch off in 10 seconds if it's not good enough.
Yeah. But also,
so time is relative when it comes to your experience. That's
like,
my point.
What I was trying to get at is like there was this film which is just released, Jewel Thief. And when I saw it, because it's got Jaideep Alawat, and I never miss a film of his. It's got Saif. I enjoy watching his films too. So I automatically watched it. But, it left me high and dry simply because I just felt that he's fallen in love too quickly. Like, because we've seen these now, we are seeing shows. We're seeing Jaideep, in 5 episodes.
I understood.
So their relationships are building.
How interesting.
Whereas here in the second meeting, he's fallen in love with the girl. By the 4th meeting, she has fallen out of love with her husband or whatever. And we're seeing violence here, which doesn't make sense. It's not building up to violence. So somewhere I feel that the shows, the serials, whatever you want to call them, which have 5 episodes, 6 episodes, have spoilt us in a way that we can't now concentrate, or we can't... The 2 hours are not believable experiences.
I would reserve my judgment till we... I mean, I would... Bimal Roy, I would reserve my judgment. I would go as far as... I'm trying to think of a film recently.
Yeah, I see.
In which I'm not. Because Berlin is a very engrossing film.
Okay.
If you see Berlin, which is on Z5, it's very engrossing.
Huh.
Bulbul. I don't know whether you saw Bulbul. You didn't.
Maybe,
you could.
yeah.
No, you couldn't have. I played a double role, and I'm such an evil person. You'll never forget it as long as you live. If you had seen that film. So I'm trying to think of a really good film that I saw recently. That was 2 hours. Smita, I don't think we need to worry. We need to just make better films. We don't.
Yeah, of course.
You need to make better films. You name your favorite. Which are the films that you remember?
That's what I'm saying.
Across the last 20 years, 30 years.
If I was to just look back, I mean, I'm finding more and more that I need 4 episodes at least for me to understand. Like, there was that film, was it a film? Kareena Kapoor and Jaideep Alawat ka jo tha, abhi? That was a film, right? It was a film. So, now this, in Jaane Jahan or Jaane Jahan, whatever, the name of the film is not registering. But in that, what happens is, Did you see Lapata Ladies? I saw Lapata Ladies.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I had Kiran Rao on the podcast.
Did you feel that it was rushed?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's a well-made film.
Yeah.
But then she is like that.
So then make them better, na, Smita? Make them better.
That's true.
Of course, you have to up your game.
Yeah, somewhere Bombay is not upping its game. Or they're not understanding the challenge. Compared to Malayalam films or Tamil films, which are still drawing audiences.
Everything is cyclical.
Okay.
Some industries go through a thing. Some industries... Remember the time when I remember the time there was regional cinema industries. You would not even you could not even look at that cinema. Everything is cyclical. Everything is in a cycle. Look at countries. Some countries you can see they're ascending the cycle of economic and social evolution.
But where?
Some are descending.
Bombay
some
film
are at the
industry
top.
always been there, no?
Not fair. That's not fair at all.
Where did they go down?
Meaning?
Like, where was it
Do you
time
remember in the 90s the kind of stuff that was written about the industry, that it's finished, that what is this bilge that's coming out? You remember that?
Yeah, but now they're seen as classics. 90s.
Now, I can't...
Really?
Looking through the prism of the future, I mean, looking...
No, seriously, if in the 90s, people would be embarrassed with the films that were coming out or the dances that were being done. It's like, oh my God, because they were being compared to the earlier ones,
Correct.
to the 80s. You thought of Amitabh Bachchan, you thought of Vinod Khanna. And then came Govinda and Yellow Pants and, you saw that and I said, oh my God, look at that classiness and look at this. And now everybody's saying, oh, look at Govinda. Look at the classy way he used to dance. So what I'm trying to say is every generation looks back and says that that was classy.
Or contextually something becomes cool today that wasn't cool earlier.
Yeah.
ऐसा भी हो सकता है.
उसको 90s को retro कह रहे हैं यार. I'm feeling so old. so
And I'm older than you, remember?
No, you're not. This is what I'm going to tell you at the end of it, that you're not. But yeah, so it's like it's frustrating to see Bombay not meeting up to the challenge. Let me be honest to you.
I'm so happy that you feel that way, because you have passion.
Yeah.
And you've had such wonderful times through the Hindi film industry, and you want those times to come back, and
Yeah.
they will. They
Yeah,
will.
they're part of every Indian's consciousness, whether we admit it or not. There are some people who are snobbish enough to say that it didn't play a part in their lives, but it did.
And periodically, whether it was Dilip Kumar Saab, Mr.
Yeah.
Bachchan, then you had Amir and
Yeah.
Ranbir, and they'll come. These and the women. You'll just have to. These are cycles. It's okay. I mean, we can bemoan the fate of journalism today, can't we?
Yeah, please go ahead.
No. I'm just, and I don't mean to, or sport.
No, of course.
Cycle.
And when I hear that, when the bemoaning comes, if you've lived long enough, you've seen the whole thing. That the guys who we thought were the heroes of our time, they had feet of lead. So you can
Absolutely.
So
and there'll be new heroes who'll turn up.
Yeah.
With newer ideas and newer and lesser fears and newer ways to put out the truth the way it should be. My entire point is, yes, I can certainly see that as a society, you and I have been around enough to know exactly where we are in the cycle. Are we on the down? Are we on the up? And then you'll say, no, Rahul, some parts of society are on the up. Some parts of society are on the down, and some parts are stagnating. Correct? We would know that. I mean, in any chat in 5 minutes, we could point out, if I threw a profession at you, you would say on the up. If I threw a profession at you, on the down.
Sure.
If I threw it at its bottom, or this is at its top,
So you feel it's...
100%.
Okay, one question I want to ask you is, I interviewed Raza Murad, and he said that he was just like, once he saw Raj Kapoor from a distance. He was a young kid, and he saw Raj Kapoor, and he was like, oh my God, this is Raj Kapoor. He looked at, and he said that one day I want to. He saw Dilip Kumar. He said, one day I want to act with him. Anything like that happened in your life? There was this one actor you said, this guy I want to act with one day.
No.
I
don't want to be iconoclastic. I'm trying to find the right words for it. I have cried. A good film makes you behave like that film for about 15 minutes afterwards. The energy of a movie infects me for 15 minutes afterwards. I'm in that rhythm and that world. That's how much I love cinema. But did I ever say, have I ever had heroes? Have I ever had people? Absolutely not. My mother, who was half Maratha and half Punjabi, threw open the bookshelf of the house when I was 10.
Amazing.
And there was Shakespeare, there was Encyclopedia Britannica, there was Premchand, and she said, it's all yours. Whatever you don't understand, you come back to me. But this entire bookshelf is yours. I did everything. From adult fiction to poetry to drama. And what it taught me was that the larger lesson of what Mum was trying to teach me was, judge people, you judge them, na? Why do you listen to anybody else? So in that respect, I don't have heroes. I have parts of you that I will want to emulate. I'll find heroic about you. It doesn't mean the whole of you is. And I might find you as the mother to be incredible, as opposed to you as a rugby player, which I'm sure you're a better mother than a rugby player. And I'll find parts of you in the 80s that I couldn't stand, but I love about you right now. Don't you see that about people? Sometimes it's the reverse. You love something and you can't hear that voice anymore.
Yeah.
Happens. So I think that I was always taught to contextualize and look at, and also to empathize. Why has Smita changed? If I was in her place, my God, I'd be much worse than what she is. Full marks to her for just, whatever. Let's say it's money, whatever it is. So I think that what the larger answer I'm trying to give you is the way mum taught, and Baba wasn't that cerebral a person. He was more he was like a bird who'll go miles to feed his young, you know. But once the bird flies away, he's lost. You know, there are some parents good when you're a kid, and some parents who are terrible when you're a kid but are good when you're older. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
And so Baba was the former, Mum was the latter. So I think from her, this idea that relax, no judgments, take it easy. I'm not saying she taught me everything. The world taught me a lot of this also. And it's so humbling to be proven wrong, which I'm proven wrong every day. Every statement you make in life, the reverse is also true in this country.
Yeah.
So I think that idea is what I have to remind myself every day not to judge. And I have to remind myself that I'm sitting here and the person, let's say I've heard 20 different things about you. But when I come into this room, my duty to myself is to come in with a clean slate.
Yeah.
That's my duty. And then what transpires, transpires. There's no...
But humanly, it's very hard. Like even for us as journalists, like I might be interviewing the most brilliant actor, but 5 minutes into the interview sometimes, I was like, oh my God, what I had thought of him or her is not true. And it's unfair because I've built this image because of the acting that he or she has
But you're
done.
so bright and clearly you're so emotionally intelligent. You know, you should have opinions. But to convert them into judgments too early is all I got from. We both have opinions because we're both emotionally intelligent people. We can feel a certain a flow between us, right?
Yeah.
And it took time, but we got there. Does it? So the judgment can come much later. You know, the older I grow, and I sound like I have one foot in the grave, which I probably do. After this Rugby Premier League, I'll have both feet in the grave. But Smita, you know, honestly, the older you get, so many mistakes. Your life is riddled with mistakes. You're like, if I knew I was going to make so many mistakes, I wouldn't get out of bed. And when you talked about social media, it's not about patriotism or about the conflict that just happened. Why would you get onto social media if you knew that people are going to hate you anyway, Smita? What is the lure? At 57, what is the lure for me to get 3 more likes or 15,000 more followers? Kahe ke liye, Smita?
It's also commerce, no, Rahul, because there are many actors who are saying that they get that roles are actually given to some people who have more followers.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
It is.
It's not your acting abilities, it's your followers. Bizarre.
Yeah.
People aren't going to go and see I wish directors and producers would know this,
They
or
do. They
filmmakers, that people don't go to see movies because they're influential on social media.
They do know this, but they're hoping that they can strike gold with that person who is influential on social media and also turns out to be a great, wonderful actor.
It's happening in journalism that journalists who have larger followers or more impact on social media are getting the jobs.
But
they make a pathetic journalist then.
But you must have a massive following. Are you number one?
No,
I don't even know.
Nowhere near that. But then, like I said, like you were saying, that I've been around for a long time. So, you know, it's part of my work to be on social media too. But yeah, there's a lot of hate that comes one's way.
So as far as I'm concerned, because what I do, the way I do it, I don't need it.
But were you never in film parties at Cannes in some glamorous outfit? You're never there.
When my film was in competition in Venice, I was there.
Huh.
When my film was in competition in Toronto, I was there. So there are the big four: Toronto, Venice, Cannes, and Berlin. When my film was in competition in Berlin, I was there with pride. None of my films have gone to Cannes. So these three, of course. But you should be there for a reason. I have never attended an award show in which I'm not getting an award or I'm not nominated. You know what I mean? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Unless you said, Rahul, please come. As a personal friend, I would turn up because God knows, maybe my appearance will help your publicity, which I seriously doubt that you would ever call me for that. But you see what I mean? Do things that have meaning and always speak less than you do. That's the secret to a peaceful night's sleep.
Looking
Zyada
back,
much
what
karo.
is it that you feel like a film that you didn't like or you shouldn't have made it?
Of course,
There are,
I'll never tell you.
but there are.
There is one
Okay.
out of 55.
Okay.
Maybe
but
two.
You put in a lot of effort to selecting your roles because
This particular one I didn't. I saw the cast. It was a fantastic cast. 3 of the best male actors in the country. I was like, this can't go wrong. Heard the story, very lovely, dark sense of humor. All of us heard the story, we got to know later, and all of us knew, oh, this person's in it. None of us got the script.
Huh.
None of us got the written script. And we got onto set on the first day, it's very funny, and we all looked at each other and we realized that we were absolutely in trouble. So we looked at each other. I don't want to use the words that everybody used. It's like we're
Okay.
in
But
trouble.
you've signed in.
No, we were on the set. It was the first day of shooting, and we realized we were in trouble.
Okay.
And it was just downhill from there.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Because
It's not my fault. I should have read the
Yeah.
script. Not frustrating. I'm irritated at my smugness, thinking that these guys are there. Story sounds great. Chalo karte hain. Never do that.
so what usually goes wrong in things like this when you have a tight bound script, when you have good actors, what can go wrong then?
Not much. Unless the director loses her courage or his courage and starts changing the script because they are unsure of the story, or one of the actors begins to influence the director to increase their role or something like that. I'm just giving you imaginary scenarios. Otherwise, no.
But that's happening, right? In the sense that there's this fear that there could be some activist group that might work against you. So to be politically correct now.
You're asking me all these questions.
Isn't it
about the
happening?
industry. And to each thing I keep telling you in 32 years, it's never happened in 32 years because it's the truth.
No,
I'm
it
not
is
even
happening.
trying to be.
You can't. Look, I don't know who I was interviewing the other day, and I said that it is true. How many romantic rom-coms do you see these days? Because I'm not talking about Indian film industry. यहाँ पे तो rom होना ही है. Even if it's a war film, there has to be one romance angle to it. But if you look at Hollywood also, you can't. There are no comic films being made. It's not. You can't laugh out because
And
you
why
can't.
is that?
Because you can't. You have to be so correct.
Politically correct.
Right? You can't laugh at gay jokes, you can't laugh at sexist jokes, you can't make politically incorrect jokes.
Very interesting.
You're so scared of angering the lobbies that you get cancelled.
Very interesting. But have you seen a film called True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes, of course I have.
Isn't that
Who hasn't seen True
Isn't that
Lies?
amazing?
Yes.
That Lallu, that lover, how he just but it was.
Can you make it today?
You can.
You think?
Yeah, there's nothing. I was
Yeah,
just thinking.
nothing,
Yeah.
okay.
There was none of those lobby things happening, And it's very interesting because while I was woke way before the word came up, because my mother never cooked, my father cooked. My mum slapped me every day for 5 years. Yeah, and you can't say that nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, but believe me, I was such a nikamma that it only helped. She forced me to go play rugby, to box. I boxed for school. My father was appalled. He wanted his son to wear a cap so he wouldn't get too dark in the sun. I'm not joking. This is my father. And play cricket and be a gentleman. And for 30 years, he saw me playing rugby at the Bombay Gym and never ever looked at the field when he walked in. I'm not joking. It's
So
true.
how are you woke because of that?
No, I'm saying I was a product of a father who we used to go to say, what should we wear for the wedding? And the mother to say, what should I do with my career? Which is exactly the opposite, right? So in terms of the awareness that women are forces of nature was there from the moment you saw mum. And the fact that men can be tactile and loving and sensitive and have beautiful aesthetics. My father was the embodiment of that. That's what I mean. So today, I mean, it's a very, very interesting point you've made, that how can you go around saying anything without not offending somebody?
Yeah.
We'll have to see how society rectifies this.
Like Kiran has made a feminist movie,
La pata nahi.
but with it's done in such a subtle manner. right? But in-your-face feminism will be met today with so much of anger. There'll be so much of pushback to say that we have gone beyond that stage. It's the other way around where men are now being victimized. It's, you know what I mean? There's a pushback. There's a pushback to it that...
I know what you're saying.
It's men who... there was a film, I don't want to put the film down because it's wrong. But, okay, let me go back a little bit to say Thappad. That,
Which I haven't seen.
I haven't seen it either. I've seen parts of the film.
Ji.
But it's like, एक थप्पड़ से divorce. Most people reacted like that. That ये feminism थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही हो गया आज के culture में. एक थप्पड़ की वजह से थोड़ी ना कोई छोड़ता है.
Whereas if that message that you should never raise your hand on any human being, forget about your wife or another woman, if that message could have been done, if that message can be communicated in ways where people say, yeah, this is wrong, you know, is the challenge, correct?
See, even my reaction to, I'm just looking back, how did I begin to say that divorce needn't have happened because you weren't really that obnoxious in the film.
G.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you weren't violent. You were putting her down in Dil Dhadakne Do in subtle manner. You were taken in by your mom, and the mom was this not very nasty but nasty lady.
It's written very well.
Yeah, so you don't want to hate either Zarina Wahab and you don't want to hate Rahul Bose, but you were like, yaar, ye to nahi chalne wala. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that conditioning in our minds that unless there is violence, why are you leaving? So this is where I'm saying is that politically correct itna hona padta aajkal.
I think what Kiran has done, what Schwarzenegger too, I think the idea, no, the solution is to be very connected to where society is at the moment, you know.
Yeah, very hard.
But to keep your finger on that pulse and to therefore calibrate. I remember the Iranian films of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It was simple stories. Oh, Premchand. Forget about Iranian films. Just read Premchand, Kafan. You know, just and say the जो व्यंग्य है उसमें, जो मतलब the life truths that you also had outside of, you know, just being ironic. My God.
Yeah.
Small little short story like an atom bomb. You know? So there are ways. We have to get better.
Jani bhi do yaro, unfortunately, this generation doesn't connect with something which was iconic for our generation.
Corruption, real estate.
And
smuggling.
those issues are still alive, but somehow that is not connecting.
Those issues have been legitimized a lot.
Yeah.
They're not bad anymore.
Correct.
What? So what?
But when I saw that movie, I thought this is going to continue. I mean, this is legend, and
it was brave.
It was brave, and this will be valid all along.
No.
That I can go back to this film. But today's but the same guys will go back to Dawn.
Is that a bad thing?
No, I'm not saying bad or good. I'm just saying,
you know, kya kare?
So when you choose the film, do you at times realize that this is iconic? 20 years from now, when I look back at my body of work, I'm going to say, I'm glad I did this.
No.
You don't think Chameli is that?
No.
Really? I loved that film.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's not a good film. No. But will it be iconic? Will it be remembered 20 years from now? Because
it was just that water, that scene went on for so long.
She's very good. Which one?
Both of you, when you're near that cave-like thing and that conversation. Yeah. No? The way you look at each other.
Yeah, it's beautiful. There was also that.
There's so much poignancy
there. Was a great feeling on set also. We knew we had done something nice. We knew we had done something right. And she's wonderful.
And it was bold of her to take that film at that stage, right? I'm sure there might be PR firms or whoever advises big actors and actresses, don't take this because it can cause trouble, you know, to act that role.
Yeah.
Because she's out and out a prostitute in that. Like, you know, Alia also, to have taken that decision to play that role. Today's day and age, they do it. But what, Chameli was 15 years back or 20?
Oh, more. 2003, I think.
Yeah, so there.
22 years ago.
You acted in that film, you know you're not the main actor.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother you.
I did 3 films with 3 women overshadowing me or had larger roles. The film. Mr. and Mrs. Iyer. I thought Coco was definitely more memorable. I mean, I think that, I don't know whether you've seen the film, but
I've seen it.
She's terrific in that film.
Yeah.
Chameli with Kareena. And I did one more and I kept thinking to myself, what is this playing second fiddle? I think, my sister told me this jokingly and I was like, we both laughed about it. Makes no difference to me.
No, it doesn't.
Never made a difference to me.
Okay. And what do we have to look forward to from you, your body, your work? Anything that you're coming up with?
Yes, I'm doing an action comedy like True Lies.
It's quite amazing that in your 50s, you're so fit and you still do action. Quite amazing. Like Akshay, I guess.
Well, I look, I just want, I play games. I play squash, I play tennis, I swim, I play rugby. I just play games to just feel the wind against my face. I don't care how I look, how it translates.
It does.
Let it, but that's
Okay.
a byproduct.
Okay.
So
this film?
this film is an action comedy. It's with Ayushmann Khurrana.
Okay. You've
And-
acted with his brother, right?
Yes, Apar Shakti in Berlin.
Apar Shakti.
You must watch Berlin. It's a very good film.
Yeah. There's a story to that. Something in New York or something happened. Was it in that lot where you were with somebody came to arrest or something happened?
No.
That was in another film. You were Jaideep Alawat, you and Kamal Haasan. That was another
Jaideep
one.
played my assistant or my in Vishwarupam.
Vishwarupam. That
Jaideep
was,
tells that story. I heard
Yeah,
it
yeah,
second.
yeah.
About me, something about.
Some the cops came in and
And
you
then-
said I have a flight to catch or something like
Yeah,
that.
apparently he and somebody said that there is a hilarious story that Jaideep has
The
said.
cops are there, but Rahul is more interested that I have a flight to catch.
I'll tell you why I must have said it, because we must have done nothing wrong. So when you do nothing wrong, my mother always told me to be fearless.
Yeah.
What do you have to fear? You've done nothing wrong. None. Let us go. End of story. I don't have to read the room.
Yeah.
I don't read the room. I mean, for example, my phone, if today somebody stole it, I have no problems. I have no secrets. Sure, I dig my nose in private, right? Outside of that, if somebody stole my phone, Smita, it's fine. I have no problem. So then,
Okay. So I'm sorry I interrupted you. So
action comedy.
So you're
with Ayushmann.
With Ayushmann.
And it's being produced by Gunit Monga and Karan. They both it's a co-production. And it's wonderful.
Yeah.
You should say yes.
So
And
Ayushmann
comedy
is-
was what I started with. It's my
Ah.
métier. Nobody in your show will believe this, but
Yeah, we've had some deep conversation.
my comfort, safest space is comedy.
Okay.
It's I can do it with my eyes shut.
Huh.
So
Ayushmann also has very good comic timing. Timing important in comedy.
and you can't fake it. Either you have it or you don't.
Correct.
Dharmendra ji was phenomenal at comedy.
Yeah.
Mr. Bachchan, phenomenal at comedy.
Yeah. Different completely. of-
Nasir Om, phenomenal at comedy. So yes, completely different ways of, Govinda, phenomenal at comedy. Ritesh Deshmukh, phenomenal at comedy. But different styles. Everybody has different.
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton.
Yeah,
etc.
I think last month we did Rajpal Yadav.
There
This
you
is a complete, that slapstick style.
Completely.
As compared to,
Completely.
Yeah.
So this one, I think people are going to be shocked. Not shocked, surprised at what I've done.
Okay, that's quite a teaser.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
That's one. And I've written a film.
You finished shooting for that, I'm guessing.
4 din baki.
Okay.
And I directed a film called Everybody Says I'm Fine
English.
in the early 2000s about the hairdresser who reads people's minds
Huh.
when he cuts their hair. I don't know whether you ever heard of it.
Huh.
It was released at PVR in 2001, 2002
Okay.
in Delhi. And then I made a film called Purna, which you must see. It is the
Must.
biopic of
Something.
the youngest girl in history to climb Mount Everest.
Okay.
It's on Apple.
Huh.
I made that in 2017. I've written now 22 drafts of my new film, which is
22 drafts.
which I'm directing.
Oh my goodness. And people think Amir Khan or Kamala Hassan are like, the guys who are picky. How many drafts do you do? You really go again and again and again? over
Yeah,
that?
I'll probably end up at about 27, 28. But
Okay. You like writing more or acting more?
no, God, I like directing the most.
Directing.
Number one.
Okay.
And then acting. And writing is the hardest thing I've done. I write 15 words and I just fall on the bed and go to sleep for 2 hours. It's like doing a biology exam.
Okay.
Yeah, but you write because there's something that grows inside you that becomes embarrassing because the lumps start to show. And people are like, what is it? You have to get it out.
I
So
agree.
that's the only time I write,
Yeah.
when the lumps start to show.
Yeah, because it's all pent. I totally understand with that.
I'm going to ask you, what did you do when you were growing up? Did you just do this or did you act? Did you do? Because
Yeah.
I can't believe this is the only thing you did.
No. So there was sports, basketball, and there was, I'm a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Basketball at school or college or what?
Both, school and college.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'5".
Which is good for an Indian woman at that time.
But it was like, I played every sport. I was in an army school, so we played everything.
But did you enjoy it or were you forced?
I loved it.
There, see?
Completely loved it.
Yeah.
So, and even now, I would play anything. I would play tennis, I would play.
Do you?
Yeah, I swim, I play any game. Any sport I can learn.
And what about dancing?
So, dance, I think my last performance was about 10 years ago. But yeah,
that's not too long ago.
No, not too long ago. So, that was in London, 10 or 12 years
So, how come we don't hear these things?
I don't like talking about myself, I guess.
Why? But you're dancing for us. You're dancing for people who love to see you dance, right?
Yeah, but it's classical.
So?
Yeah, okay. I guess so. But performing on stage requires a lot of hard work. Journalism is easier.
I know it is, but it's just one side of you that, I mean, presumably you have at least 25, 30 years of your life. Don't you miss doing the other stuff?
Absolutely. Totally miss.
So why?
I guess it's easier to do sports.
I mean, your kids are grown up, they're gone. Now you can do whatever you want to.
I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, I do try and do it when nobody's watching.
That's ridiculous. No, it's ridiculous.
Okay, now I'm feeling embarrassed.
If you're so talented and you're obviously an achiever, super achiever in school, I mean, the two things I do is rugby and acting. And that's one I learned at 6 and one I learned at 14. I'm still doing the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The essence of that kid is still in me. That's the reason I can talk to you, with...
But I guess that's the reason where I'm able to connect with...
Which is why I asked you must be doing other things.
Yeah. So whoever I speak to, there is some connect with artists because...
You asked me lots of questions to try and get me to say something about my industry, which I haven't. And that's your job, and I understand. But there is much more to you than this.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But yeah, it needed an artist to bring that out from me too. I think last I was Sonal Mansingh who said the same thing and she figured it out too. That there's more to it.
Yeah. We should have this conversation again. We should cancel this interview and do another one. Right. Thank you so much, Rahul, on that note. All the best to you to the Rugby League, and let's see what happens with that. I hope that everybody watching and listening, you do your bit to contribute to the sport. I'm going to come back and you're going to do something more for us, please.
Certainly.
At some point.
Certainly. Yeah? Absolutely.
In a way that will fit your programming, but it would be fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All the best, Rahul.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you for watching or listening to this edition of the NI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste. Jai Hind. This episode is powered by easemytrip.com. Click here to watch the previous episodes.
मोदी जी से अच्छा कलाकार और झूठ बोलने वाला व्यक्ति इस देश में पैदा नहीं हुआ। अब नीतीश जी जहाँ भी रहेंगे, माफ़ कीजिएगा, वो हिल बी एन एक्स्ट्रा बैगेज। अगर इच्छा है चिराग पासवान जी या किसी की, तो खुल के बोले ना कि भाई हम मुख्यमंत्री बनना चाहते हैं। ड्रामा करने की क्या ज़रूरत है कि अब बिहार हमको बुला रहा है? तो भगा दिया था क्या इतना साल से बिहार?
महागठबंधन के लिए मुख्यमंत्री का चेहरा कौन है? आप हैं?
देखिए,
ये आपने बहुत टाइम ले लिया। अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि मोदी जी झूठे हैं, तो फिर 3 बारी क्यों वो इलेक्शन जीते हैं?
प्रोपेगेंडा, all the constitutional institutions are being hijacked. Media is being hijacked.
उनका कहना है कि नीतीश कुमार टोटली फिट हैं।
रेप पीड़िता के घर क्यों नहीं जाते मुख्यमंत्री? कहीं घटना होती है वहाँ क्यों नहीं जाते हैं मुख्यमंत्री? प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस क्यों नहीं करते हैं मुख्यमंत्री? He is tired.
फिर सरकार कौन चला रहा है?
रिटायर्ड करप्ट ऑफिसर्स।
उत्तराधिकारी कौन होगा फिर जेडीयू में?
पहले पार्टी रहेगी तब तो।
प्राइवेट सेक्टर में आरक्षण होना चाहिए जाति के आधार पर?
एकदम होना चाहिए।
आपने जो अपने बच्चों का नाम रखा, क्या मैसेज क्या देना चाह रहे हैं?
इराज क्यों नाम रख रहे हो? इजाज खान नाम रख लेते हैं। उन भक्तों को ये नहीं पता है कि इराज जो है संस्कृत शब्द है। उन लोगों को कोई ज्ञान नहीं है सनातन का।
आपके भाई को लेकर बहुत कुछ सोशल मीडिया में आया है, इसका राजनीतिक खामियाजा आपकी पार्टी को भुगतना पड़ेगा?
नहीं, देखिए, एक
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to another edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. This episode is being filmed in Patna, Bihar. My guest today is Tejasvi Yadav, a former Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar and the de facto chief of the Rashtriya Janata Dal. He is currently serving as the leader of the opposition in the state. Before entering politics, Tejasvi was a professional cricketer. Today, he is seen as a political heir of Lalu Prasad Yadav and a key player in shaping Bihar's future. I'm joined in this episode with Mukesh, my colleague. Tejasvi ji, congratulations pehle to. You become a father again, second time. What did it feel like?
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। अब ये खुशी जो है शब्दों में बयां की नहीं जा सकती। यू नीड टू हैव अ एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ इट। बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। सब लोग, माता पिता मेरे और बहनें वगैरह सब लोग थी, और एक अलग ही खुशी का एहसास है जो शब्दों में बयां नहीं किया जा सकता। अब लगता है कि अब थोड़ी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो है और बढ़ गई है।
बढ़ गई है। हाँ।
लेकिन
आपकी बेटी उन्हें समझ में आया कि भाई है?
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
What was her reaction?
Touchwood, she is very intelligent and she understands.
हाँ।
और अभी तो I'll show you, अलग से पिक्चर भी दिखा देंगे।
हाँ।
अब तो गोद में लेती भी है उसको।
हाँ। Not yet jealous?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
She understands that it's pro.
Okay. हाँ, ममता बनर्जी आई थी कंग्रेचुलेट करने के लिए, उन्होंने क्या कहा आपसे?
हाँ, नहीं, असल में 9 महीने से मेरी वाइफ जो थी वो वहीं थी, और हर महीने 1-2 दिन के लिए मैं जाता था। तो ममता जी ने पूछा, तुम हर महीने तुम कलकत्ता आते हो, हमको बताते नहीं हो। तो ऑब्वियसली इट वाज अ प्राइवेट थिंग। तो मैंने उनको बताया कि ऐसी ऐसी बात है। तो उन्होंने कहा था कि जब डिलीवरी होगी तो हमको ज़रूर इन्फॉर्म करना, मैं ज़रूर आऊँगी। तो आई इन्फॉर्म्ड हर एंड शी केम एंड शी ब्लेस्ड माई बेबी।
ओके, दैट्स नाइस। पर यहाँ पर इट्स बिकम अ पॉलिटिकल इशू ऑल्सो। सब कह रहे हैं कि यहाँ पर भी तो अस्पताल है, व्हाई डिड यू हैव टू हैव द बेबी आउटसाइड बिहार?
नहीं, ऐसा कोई अस्पताल को लेकर के नहीं, मतलब इसमें तो घर पे ही रहना पड़ता है। आप जानते हैं मैं भी बिज़ी रहता हूँ, मम्मी पापा भी बिज़ी रहते हैं, और इस मोमेंट पे प्रेगनेंसी के टाइम में आपको 24 घंटे कोई एक देखने वाला जो है परिवार का वो चाहिए। तो माई ब्रदर इन लॉ स्टेज इन कोलकाता, आई थॉट इट विल बी फॉर अ चेंज, शी विल बी ऑल्सो देयर। और यहाँ ज़्यादा, क्योंकि सब लोग जानते हैं उनको, बाहर निकलना, टहलना, घूमना, क्योंकि वो हो नहीं पाता है। तो वहाँ कम से कम फ्रीली, कामली शी कैन स्टे विद फैमिली, तो थोड़ा बेटर होगा इस थॉट के साथ। बिकॉज आई एम ऑल्सो ट्रैवलिंग एवरी डे, 14-15 घंटे सड़क पे रहता हूँ। तो फिर मम्मी पिताजी की कभी कभी तबीयत ठीक नहीं रहती है। तो उस हालात में मेरे को लगा कि बेटर होगा कि उनको,
हाँ,
सब लोगों की राय थी।
इट्स नाइस कि आप you found the time to come, and I'm told it's your first podcast, so I'm really looking forward to asking you some political questions क्योंकि चुनाव होने वाले हैं। तो can you tell me a little bit whether your party is prepared to take on this big election machinery of BJP and JDU, और BJP जो है वो I think लगभग तय हो चुका है कि
only our party, the Congress party, never compromised with बीजेपी। हम लोगों ने अपने विचारधारा से कभी भी कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ नहीं किया। बीजेपी और उनकी विचारधारा से हम लोगों ने हमेशा लड़ाई लड़ी है, कभी पीछे नहीं हटे। और ये चुनाव क्या, पिछला चुनाव में भी वी वर फुली रेडी और आप कह सकती हैं कि 2020 का जो चुनाव था केवल 12,000 वोटों का अंतर था। और वो 12,000 वोटे का अंतर भी कैसे हुआ रात के अंधेरे में, वो बिहार की जनता सब लोग जानते हैं। अभी भी चाहे कोई आए, ये चुनाव जो है एक परिवर्तन का चुनाव होने जा रहा है, बदलाव का चुनाव होने जा रहा है। जो व्यक्ति 2005 में पैदा हुआ, आज वो 20 साल का हो गया है। और इस 20 साल के राज में नीतीश कुमार जी मुख्यमंत्री रहे, 11 साल से नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री रहे। फिर भी नीति आयोग की रिपोर्ट में गरीबी में बिहार नंबर 1 है, बेरोजगारी में नंबर 1 है, पलायन सबसे अधिक बिहार में होता है, प्रति व्यक्ति आय सबसे कम बिहार में है, प्रति व्यक्ति निवेश सबसे कम बिहार में है, शिक्षा चिकित्सा में हम फिसड्डी हैं, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर अगर एनसीआरबी के आंकड़े देखें तो लगातार 2005 के बाद से अपराध बढ़े हैं। जब 20 साल नीतीश जी को मौका मिल गया और प्रधानमंत्री जी को जब मौका मिला 11 साल, तो उन्होंने बिहार के लिए कुछ नहीं किया। और प्रधानमंत्री जी व्हेनेवर ही कम्स टू बिहार, या प्रधानमंत्री जी तो किसी भी राज्य में चुनाव होता है उसी राज्य को बोलते हैं कि हम नंबर 1 राज्य बनाएंगे। अब पता नहीं दूसरा नंबर पे कौन रहेगा, तीसरे नंबर पे कौन रहेगा। प्रधानमंत्री जी आते हैं, कहते हैं हम चीनी मिल को शुरू करके इसी चीनी मिल का हम चाय पियेंगे। 11 साल हो गए, वी हैव बीन वेटिंग कि वो चीनी मिल कब चालू होगी और उस चीनी का चाय प्रधानमंत्री जी कब पियेंगे। प्रधानमंत्री जी कहते थे स्पेशल पैकेज देंगे, स्पेशल स्टेटस देंगे, कहाँ है? बिहार की जनता जानना चाहती है कि कहाँ है वो।
जो बजट अभी निकला था वो तो कंप्लीट बिहार पैकेज था, बिना कहे कि
ऑलरेडी कई चीज़ें जो पहले से चल रही है उन्हीं चीज़ों को, पुराना चीज़ों को ही अनाउंस किया गया। वो स्पेशल पैकेज में आप काउंट नहीं करेंगी। आप बताओ ना, बिहार के ही मंत्री हैं गिरिराज सिंह जी, कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर हैं, कपड़ा मंत्री हैं, टेक्सटाइल की जिम्मेवारी है। 9 टेक्सटाइल पार्क में से एक भी बिहार को क्यों नहीं मिला? या कितने केंद्र में मंत्री हैं बिहार के लिए, केंद्र से बिहार में क्या लेके आए? बल्कि यहाँ तो बरौनी वाला जो था उसको भी जो है कहाँ कर्नाटका भेजने की तैयारी कर दिए थे वो कृषि मंत्री जो हैं शिवराज चौहान जी, जब हम लोग ने ट्वीट किया था। वो कौन सा था वो? रिसर्च सेंटर था मक्के का।
हाँ,
मक्के का रिसर्च सेंटर जो था, अनुसंधान केंद्र, उसको भी शिफ्ट करा दिया था। तो बाद में हल्ला हुआ, तब रोकने की बारी आई। लेकिन सवाल ये है कि 20 साल में बिहार में क्या बदलाव आया? अभी भी भूखमरी है, गरीबी है, लाचारी है, बेबसी है। आखिर बिहार में हम तो ये सरकार से पूछते हैं, आप 20 साल राज में रहे, केंद्र में 11 साल, एक काम बता दीजिए जिसमें देश में बिहार नंबर 1 है।
उनकी तो पूरी फेहरिस्त है। वो कहते हैं कि
मतलब बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट? लिस्ट तो कुछ कखा लिख देंगे वो लोग, उससे क्या होता है? ज़मीन पे क्या है?
वो कह रहे हैं कि जैसे जितनी पलायन पहले होती थी उतनी नहीं है, जितने स्कूल पहले थे उससे ज़्यादा हैं, जितने जो टीचर्स थे जो पहले थे, वो पेपर लीक इतना नहीं होता जितना पहले होता है, जो क्राइम पहले होता
बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट?
जो जंगल
आप बिहार के लोग हैं यहाँ, किसी से भी पूछ लीजिए 2005 से पहले या 2005 के बाद पेपर लीक सबसे ज़्यादा कब होता है? पहले कहाँ इतना खबर आता था पेपर लीक का? किस बेस पे बोल रहे हैं? देयर हैज़ टू बी सम डेटा ना, और एविडेंस। बिहार में कोई भी परीक्षा ऐसी हो जिसमें पेपर लीक ना हुआ हो, ये हमको बता दीजिए। वो केवल 17 महीने जब हमारी सरकार थी और 5 लाख लोगों को नौकरी हम लोगों ने दी। क्या कह रहे हैं वो कि स्कूलें बना दी, बिल्डिंग बने होंगे, लेकिन उसमें टीचर कहाँ है? टीचर तो हम आए हैं 17 महीने, तो 5 लाख टीचरों को नौकरी पे हम लोगों ने देने का काम किया, तब भरने का काम किया हम लोगों ने। अभी जो बच्ची जिसके साथ रेप हुआ और निर्मम हत्या कर दी गई, पीएमसीएच में उसको जगह नहीं मिली, 4 घंटे बाहर रही, उसकी मृत्यु हो गई, बल्कि कंडीशन ठीक थी, बच सकती थी। हम उसके परिवार के यहाँ गए, प्रधानमंत्री जी कहते हैं, मुख्यमंत्री कहते हैं सबको घर बना के दे दिया पक्का मकान, उसका घर तो झोपड़ी में था। हम शहीद के यहाँ गए तो वहाँ शौचालय नहीं था, और ये बोलते कि शौचालय बना दिया। ये केवल ठगने का काम करते हैं। और मोदी जी से अच्छा कलाकार और झूठ बोलने वाला व्यक्ति इस देश में पैदा नहीं हुआ। काला धन लाएंगे, काला धन लाएंगे, 15-15 लाख रुपए खाते में देंगे, हर साल 2 करोड़ नौकरी देंगे। कहाँ है ये?
पर अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि मोदी जी झूठे हैं, तो फिर 3 बारी क्यों वो इलेक्शन जीते हैं?
प्रोपेगेंडा, प्रोपेगेंडा।
11 साल से उनकी
ऑल
सरकार
द
है।
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन आर बीन हाईजैक्ड, मीडिया इज बीन हाईजैक्ड। खुल के हम लोगों को कहना पड़ेगा।
आप रोज तो टीवी पे होते हैं,
सच की बात है। आपको नहीं लगता स्मिता जी, जितना
रोज तो आप टीवी पे हैं, कहाँ से हाईजैक हुआ है मीडिया? रोज आपका बाइट चलता है, रोज आपका स्पीच
बाइट चलता है। आप लोग तो खाली सवाल हमसे करती हैं ना, तब चलता है।
सवाल भी नहीं करेंगे, अगर सवाल नहीं करेंगे।
हम कहाँ मना कर रहे हैं, लेकिन यही सवाल, यही तो बात आप जो हमको कहने जा रही है, प्रधानमंत्री जी को जरा कहिए कि एक बात तो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर दो यार।
जब अगर हम सवाल नहीं करेंगे तो फिर बोला जाएगा कि हमारे मुंह पर ताला लगा है। जब हम सवाल करते हैं तो फिर हमारी गलती है।
जी, पहले की मीडिया सवाल सबसे ज़्यादा सत्ता पक्ष के लोगों से किया करती थी। आज क्या हो गया, सत्ता पक्ष के लोगों से सवाल नहीं, सत्ता पक्ष वालों का जो प्रोपेगेंडा होता है वो चलाया जाता है, और सबसे ज़्यादा सवाल कटघरे में ऑपोजिशन के लोगों को लाया जाता है। That's the difference before 2014 and after 2014.
आपके साथ क्या इल ट्रीटमेंट किया है मीडिया ने? आप अपना बताइए, बाकियों का छोड़िए, आप अपना बताइए कि कहाँ से मीडिया, चाहे बिहार की मीडिया हो या नेशनल मीडिया, आपके साथ कहाँ अनफेयर ट्रीटमेंट किया है?
हमारी जब सरकार आती है, जब भी 17 महीने 18 महीने कॉकरोच भी मर जाता है तो इतना बड़ा करके दिखाया जाता है। यहाँ बच्चियों के